Hey guys, welcome back to another review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Gravity Falls Season 2, Episode 5. We're making great progress on this, and then we're going to move on to next movie. The next movie will be I Know What You Did Last Summer, and then we'll be moving on to 13 Reasons Why, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, today I'm going to be reviewing the episode called Soos and the Real Girl. So yeah, let's just get right into the video. Alright, let's get started. While frolickingly prancing through the gift shop in the Mystery Shack, Mabel runs face first in the screen door and accidentally gets her braces caught. As she screams in terror for her to be dictated, specifically for Waddles to inherit all of her worldly possessions, Soos comes to the rescue and pries the braces out with a screwdriver before bidding goodbye upon finishing his shift. Shortly after he leaves, Mabel ponders over what Soos does in his spare time, which nobody else finds much interest in the way she does. That night, it is now revealed that Soos usually spends the remainder of the day playing video games at his house. While playing Leopard Punch, Abuelita informs his cousin, Reggie, is having an engagement party, and Soos is surprised that his cousin had become so successful, to which Abuelita replies that Soos is now grown up and needs to start acting like one before she passes away. Yeah, I'm gonna miss my grandma when she dies. I love my grandma so much. She's 83 right now. She'll be 84 in September. You know, my grandpa's I think 85. He'll be 86 soon. This year. What was I saying? Abuelita then asks Soos to bring a date along to Reggie's engagement party. Soos says that he could get a girl by the end of the week, but then immediately has concerns. The next day in the Mystery Shack, Stan confronts a young boy and asks him if he wants to see Old Goldie, an attraction of the Mystery Shack. The kid is doubtful, so Stan demonstrates an attraction by inserting his nickel into it. The worn-out Goldie barely manages to tip his hat before he begins screaming as his eyes pop out and oil begins spewing from his mouth, which causes the kid to run away in fear, sobbing. That probably traumatized that poor kid. Wendy suggests that Stan should get rid of Goldie, stating that its face is a total memento mori. I don't know what that means. Stan declines but accidentally slips and gets his arms caught in Goldie's mouth, causing Stan to panic and yell, "Kill it." Meanwhile, Soos attempts at getting a date by asking customers in the Mystery Shack. Fails spectacularly. Dipper and Mabel notice, and they decide to repay Soos for all he does for them by getting him a date for his cousin's engagement party. Mabel then decides to take Soos to the mall along with Dipper to try and find a date as Stan follows them to find a replacement for Goldie. Mabel then advises Soos on how to get a date. Eye contact, conversation, and confidence, all in which Soos fails when he tries to flirt. Meanwhile, Stan is seen throwing Goldie away into the dumpster, and after an awkward parting, follows some children into hoo-ha. Owl's Pixamatronics Jamboree. Stan thinks that the pizzeria is a nightmare and wonders why the kids love it, but then the pizzeria show begins in which play Hoo-Ha, the owl, and his band Hoo-Ha's Jamboree among the animatronics. This kind of reminds me of Five Nights at Freddy's. I should review that at some point. I probably will. A badger stands out and catches Stan's attention. The pizzeria manager, Gary, tells Stan that the badger is Willie Badger. Willie is loved by all the public, and he asks him to give him the money, which they gladly do. Stan is impressed by the large amount of money Willie makes, and tells Gary that he wants to buy the badger, but Gary tells him that he is too old for that and declares that the animatronics are a job for a young man. He tells Stan that he couldn't handle that life and makes a pose to scare him. Then a kid throws up in the ball pit, so Gary goes to take over. Stan gets upset and declares that he will get the badger. Meanwhile, Soos, Dipper, and Mabel are sitting in front of Beebly Boop's video game. Soos becomes depressed about not being able to get a date and wonders if that date can get worse, which he discovers that it can. He turns his head and sees Reggie and his fiancée. Soos doesn't want Reggie to see him like that and runs inside the video game store to hide. Soos collapses into depression and resigns himself to living a life of loneliness. Soos sees two games called Fighty Hog and Dr. Punchhead MD and thinks that only they could love him. But then he sees a third game and mentions that he never seen that one. The game is called Romance Academy 7, and it turns out to be a Japanese dating sim, which claims to virtually improve your dating skills, and 9 out of 10 single men recommend it. Dipper and Mabel might think it might work, but then the cashier tells Soos that she doesn't think it's a good idea for him to buy that game. She mentions that it's been returned 3 times and has a note that says destroy at all costs. Dipper and Mabel watch their twins trying to flirt with a cardboard cutout of a woman until the cutout falls over and the twins decide to take a chance and buy the game. Yeah, that was pretty stupid of them. Back at home that night, Soos starts up the game and is introduced to Giffany, a pink-haired girl that studies at the game setting, a magic romance academy. Giffany asks Soos to carry her books, and the game gives the options: yes, of course, I'm impatient, date me now, and hey, look, a squid. Soos chooses I'm impatient, date me now, but the answer is wrong, and Soos thinks that he ruined it. But Giffany tells him it's okay and to try again. Soos chooses yes, of course, and the answer is correct. Soos feels like he's learning, and games make it fun. Giffany attempts to continue, but Soos decides to repeatedly click on her face. Giffany finds him amusing and laughs, leading Soos to wonder why anyone would abandon the game, to which he eerily comments, and I'm sure you'll never abandon me, new boyfriend. Soos is amazed at how realistic the game is and tells Giffany that it's like she's still alive. Giffany replies, yes, almost, and she laughs with Soos, but unbeknownst to Soos, his computer isn't plugged in, revealing that Giffany is more alive than he thinks. The next day, Stan describes to Wendy how effectively Willie conned others out of money, even though she does not care. Dipper and Mabel arrive and ask where Soos is. Stan tells them that it didn't come, and that it's the first time he's missed work. Dipper and Mabel head to Soos' house and find him still slouched in front of the computer, having interacted with Giffany for 13 hours straight without seeing sunlight. Yeah, that's not good. They force Soos to head back to the mall to reattempt a date, but unknown to them, Giffany follows him, moving through the electronic devices. Then Abuelita sneaks into Soos' room and reads his diary. At the mall, Mabel scares all of the women out of the women's washroom by screaming at them with a megaphone, and Dipper is forced to leave to deal with the security that arrived to investigate. Leaving Soos to find a date by himself, Soos cannot decide how to interact with any of the women due to them having too many dimensions and the lack of explanation-y menus. Soos collides with a woman and drops her bag. He panics because he can't undo the accident like in a game and runs away. Soos stops in front of the television store and wishes he was home with Giffany. But suddenly Giffany appears on the TV. Soos is relieved to see it, but he is also confused. Giffany reveals to Soos that she is not an ordinary game and that she is special and activates a toy dog to show him. Then Giffany reveals that her programmers tried to delete her, so she deleted them and shows Soos an animation of the programmers in which one of them tries to delete the game but is electrocuted while trying. Soos asks her what she did to them, but Giffany tells him that it's not important, that the important thing is that he doesn't have to talk to real girls anymore and that they can be together forever. Together forever. Soos thinks it's awesome. He recognizes it as a red flag, but above all, he thinks it's awesome. Soos asks her what she wants to do, to which Giffany replies, whatever he wants. Soos decides to play on a little train for kids in the kids zone of the mall. He and Giffany have fun together until the train stops and the screen tells Soos to insert 50 cents to continue. Soos hears the laughter and sees that it's a woman working at a meet cute stand. The woman tells Soos that it's amazing to see a grown man on a little train for kids, to which Soos says, I'm like, if it's fun, I'll do it. The woman agrees with Soos, complains that adults have to do too many things, and says that she wishes she could be on little trains all days. Soos tells her that at least she works at Meet Cute and declares extreme lunch meats are food of the future. The woman says she thinks the same way and introduces herself as Melody. Soos introduces himself as well and tells Melody that if she likes robots for kids, she should go to Hoo-Ha Owl's Pixamatronic Jamboree, a pizzeria which it turns out that they both loved when they were kids. They agree to have their first date, but later that evening at 8 o'clock. After giving Soos 50 cents, Melody leaves, but before Soos can continue to ride the train, he's tackled by Mabel and Dipper. Dipper reveals that they had seen the whole thing and that he had performed perfectly. They say that the game really worked and that he can toss it out now. Soos is reluctant to throw it out as he insists he likes Giffany and that she's predictable. But when Dipper asks if he can take Giffany to his cousin's party, though, Soos realizes that he has to break up with Giffany. That night, Soos tells Giffany that they have to talk, to which he explains that he met Melody and he's going on a date with her. Upon hearing that, Giffany gets jealous and furious and tells Soos that he doesn't know what he's saying, that no one loves him more than her, and that the girls would only make fun of him. Soos asks her if she thinks that Soos asks her if she thinks that, to which Giffany tells him that she knows and declares that they had a deal since Soos bought her game and held her books. He is her boyfriend and demands that he sit down. Soos tells her he doesn't like the way she's acting, and then Giffany goes completely crazy with jealousy and bursts into an immense tantrum. She starts punching the screen and yells at Soos that she won't let another girl take him away from her, and he's hers. Soos gets scared, tells Giffany to calm down, and pauses her. Soos feels sorry for the situation. He takes out the disc while apologizing to Giffany, mentioning that maybe their relationship wasn't a good idea and that it will return her to the video game store after his date with Melody. Soos leaves his room and goes on his date, but unbeknownst to Soos, Giffany managed to stay on his computer due to her jealousy, and she decides to go after Soos. Meanwhile, Stan begins to prepare to break into the pizzeria, putting on gloves, which he calls his old friends, but not without declaring to be careful this time to avoid any more Colombian nights. Wendy attempts to persuade him to change his mind, to no avail. Stan says as he is leaving through a window that sometimes a man has to steal an animatronic badger to stay in this crazy game called life, and then proceeds to fall out of the window. Back at the mall, Mabel and Dipper help Soos prepare for his date, with Mabel shouting questions at him on what his love crew has taught him. Shortly afterwards, Soos meets up with Melody, and they enter the pizzeria just as Stan prepares to steal the animatronic badger. While conversing with Melody, Soos is frightened when Giffany appears on the screen of an arcade machine behind Melody, with the caption, "You pause me?" Giffany, through the monitors in the arcade, expresses her distaste for Melody and that she wants to get rid of her. After making an awkward excuse, Soos flees to Dipper and Mabel, who had been watching them from the next table, and tells them that Giffany is stalking him. Dipper tells Soos to control himself and declares that Giffany can't stalk him because she's not real, but then Giffany appears on the TV screens in front of them. Dipper and Mabel realize that Giffany does have life, and Dipper mentions that he gave life to a video game and it didn't end well. Soos thinks that she can't leave TV screens, but then Giffany moves through video games, among which is fighters and electrocutes Rumble Mix Skirmish, and reaches the pizzeria stage. Soos tries to get Melody away from Giffany and suggests moving the date to the forest, where they are away from all electronics, but then the show starts, and Melody wants to see it. Giffany possesses the band's Beaver cheerleader and tells the audience that the song is for Soos, whom she calls her boyfriend. Melody confusedly asks Soos what is happening, to which Soos tells her that there is no time to explain and that they should get out of there. Soos runs with Melody to the exit, and Dipper and Mabel go with them. Giffany tells Soos that the only way out is in her arms. She possesses the other animatronics and orders them to catch them. Animatronics scare people and they run away in panic. Meanwhile, Stan ties up Willie and feels invincible with his robbery, but then Willie is also possessed by Giffany and attacks Stan, which scares him. Tiffany closes the door and locks Dipper, Mabel, and Soos Melody in, and she uses the skee-ball machines to fire the balls at them like cannons, causing them to take cover behind an arcade machine. Soos tells Melody to stay with Dipper, and Mabel attempts to lure Giffany away from the group as the rest of the group tries to escape from the remaining animatronics. Meanwhile, Stan attempts to fight back against Willie, but is unable to. He dodges one of the blows, causing Goldie, who was sitting in a pile of trash, to start biting the animatronic's arm, with Stan cheering him on. In the pizzeria, Dipper, Mabel, and Melody try to escape the animatronics, but are captured. With Soos surrounded, Giffany attempts to persuade Soos that real girls like Melody would only end up hurting him. She asks Soos to allow her to download his brain into the game so that they could be together forever. Soos tells her to back off and throws a candy bar and a screwdriver at her. Giffany tells him not to make her delete him. Then Soos takes the Romance Academy 7 disc out of his pocket and an idea occurs to him. Giffany asks him what he thinks of her idea, and Soos tells her that the game is over. Soos throws the disc into the pizza oven and the disc is destroyed. Giffany disappears and the animatronics that she possessed suffers a malfunction which causes it to melt down to its endoskeleton, fall to the ground and deactivate. The other animatronics also deactivate and free Dipper, Mabel, and Melody. Willie also deactivates and Stan thinks that Goldie beat him. He states that he and Goldie are going to Las Vegas. Standing in the ruins of the pizzeria, Soos invites Melody to the engagement party. She accepts the offer but reveals that she won't be in town much longer after the party, as she has to return to Portland in a few weeks. She proposes that they video chat when she leaves, and although this arrangement was not much different from Giffany's, he agrees, happy to finally converse with the real girl. Dipper and Mabel are glad that Soos managed to get a date in the end. Abuelita, who surfaces from the ball pit, is too. Dipper asks her if she was following them all day, and she responds, Soos's life is my soap opera. As the credits roll, images of Stan and Goldie are shown having a balling in Las Vegas. First in a limousine with beautiful showgirls, then staying at a hotel and enjoying rich people water in a hot tub. They enjoy ranking in the chips gambling, but are so successful they're kicked out by security. They escape on a helicopter at some point, Goldie at the wheel, and then get married at a Las Vegas chapel by an Elvis Presley impersonator. Rest in peace, dude. Eventually, they look to hitch a ride out of Vegas. And that was Soos and the Real Girl in 15 minutes. This one took longer than usual, so there was a lot of text on that one. So my thoughts on the episode, it was pretty good. I'd give it like a 4 or 4.5. It was a good episode. Definitely not one of my favorites, but one of the better episodes. Definitely better than some of the other episodes, like Boys Crazy is definitely my least favorite episode. Next, we're going to be looking at a okay-ish episode, a pretty good-ish episode called Little Gift Shop of Horrors. But until then, I'm Adrian Aguilar Moore, and I'll see you guys next time.